This is one of the better stories we have seen out of the Montreal Canadiens this season, and it's not even really just like one story, it's a whole bunch of them. You see, the reason we are making this video on this very nice Friday morning here in Vancouver is because of a Reddit post I saw on the R-Habs sub. Take a look at this. It was posted by Fake Crash earlier this morning. How it feels to watch the Habs lately. Why can't I hold all these great storylines? Hutson, Dobes, Laine, Slafkovsky, Evans, Demidov, Armia. There's a lot going on with the Montreal Canadiens right now that's good to watch and even better to feel. Because all the storylines that are mentioned here are positive. Lane Hutson is one of the best gosh darn defensemen in the entire NHL. Dobes is doing incredible things as a rookie. He is undefeated. He has such good numbers. Patrik Laine has started scoring goals again, and he's looking very confident in the process. Slafkovsky, you can say he is bouncing back a little bit from the poor start he had. Jake Evans is a monster. Yoel Armia is a monster, and Ivan Demidov is a Russian monster. There's a lot to love out of the Canadiens system, their organization, what you're seeing on the ice, what you're going to see on the ice in the future. It's just incredible to be a Habs fan right now. And one of the top comments says, I'm genuinely confused where this team was in October and November. This is where we dive into the reply by Cold Mine Sigh, which goes out there and tries to articulate what happened to the Montreal Canadiens. What the hell happened? Why were they so bad at the beginning and now everything is so good? We didn't have Laine, but we had prime dog crap Cayden Primo. Doc is slowly awakening now. I used to say that players had to adapt to Lane Hutson's play, but in the end, I think Hutson adapted to their play. The execution in our defensive zone is so much better. Pay attention to how we do not hesitate to outnumber an opponent in our zone these days. Carrier letting Goulet go natural side and playing really well himself. Matheson playing really well consistently. He's doing far less bonehead plays these days, and I think it's due to the reduced pressure on him. Catton was not it, and I really mean this year. I'm still hyped for the guy. It took some time for the new guys to gel. Like, Emil Heineman wasn't bad, but they didn't work as well as they do now. Basically, it was always a question of time and having some pieces back and finding everyone's chair. And ultimately, I would agree with this, and I wanted to dive into it here in this video, which is why, we're making this entire thing in the first place. Link to the Reddit post will be in the description, as well as our affiliate ExpressVPN link. You can go ahead and use that to save some money and get some free VPN months, and also it helps out the channel, so there's that. But I think it is a lot more complicated than just saying, oh, the Habs got Laine, and then they traded Barron for Carrier. Like, just those two moves, they contributed a lot to what the Canadiens are today. They made a big impact and shift in the dynamics of the Habs and their team, and it's looking really good. But these are not the only two things that have been adjusted from the start of the season up until now. Cayden Primo being as bad as he was for the Canadiens, being replaced by Dobes, there's no way. I'm sorry, Cayden Primo, but there's no way he goes out there and beats up on all these former Stanley Cup champions and Stanley Cup finalists like Dobes has done. And that is not a total deterrent of his game. It's like, hey, you're a backup guy. You're still trying to find your way. What are the odds you go out there and beat the Florida Panthers? What are the odds you beat the Colorado Avalanche? What are the odds you beat the Capitals? What are the odds you beat the Dallas Stars? It's not easy for anybody. But Dobes has gone out there and done the impossible as a rookie, as a new face in the NHL, and he's looking like he has another gear, honestly. Like, this is not a player that is taking any of these opportunities for granted. Goaltending, I think, is one of the biggest things because the Habs would not have won any of those games, I think, with Cayden Primo in the crease. Then you have the adjustments. I really do think that Lane Hutson and the opportunities that were bestowed upon him Now, I think Hutson is playing some of the best hockey he has ever played. At the beginning of the season, it was a little bit rough, and that wasn't really his fault, you know? Like, a lot of that had to do with the fact that he wasn't really being given much of an opportunity, and he wasn't on the power play, and all these things. He needed to adjust and eventually get up to speed. I do agree with the idea that says that Hutson had to adapt to the Canadiens' play in the same way that some of these Habs guys had to adapt to Hutson's play, because he plays so differently from anybody else on the team that all of a sudden, you know, it's not going to be right away you have chemistry with this new dude who is used to dominating the game in ways that we have never seen a Canadiens defenseman dominate the game before. It was always going to be an adjustment period, and everybody is still learning, obviously. There's more to this Habs team than just one or two guys, but ultimately, there's so much more offensive potential with what the Habs are presenting on their systems right now. You could say the same thing about the defense. They're not afraid to double team guys and get into the corners and dig pucks out. Carrier's playing well. Cayden is playing even better on his natural side. And being able to limit those plays from Mike Matheson, where he goes out there and tries to do everything himself, or he just becomes a little selfish and he doesn't pass it, it's like, okay, maybe it's a little humbling for the guy to be in this spot where Lane Hutson is now on the team and he is doing all the solo work. Matheson doesn't need to do that anymore. He can just play regular puck-moving hockey. It works now. And ultimately, when you think about the Habs and their push, they are in a very good spot in the NHL standings. Right now, the Habs are just 1 point removed from the playoffs with a game in hand on Columbus, 2 games in hand on Boston. However, the Detroit Red Wings and other teams have definitely started to win a whole bunch of games too. It's Columbus, Montreal, and Detroit, I think, that are all clamoring for that spot. Ottawa is in the thick of it as well, but they haven't been really too hot lately, so it's hard to fully consider them. Anyways, are the Canadiens even going to have a chance to best out one of the top 3 spots in the Atlantic? Can they dethrone Tampa? I wouldn't think so, but of course, anything is possible when you're 8-0 in your last 10 games. The Montreal Canadiens have been on a heater. They have been looking really good. All of the players are starting to step up in ways that we did not expect. Even Cole Caulfield, like, the guy started out the year as one of the best goal scorers in the entire league. He has kind of cooled off a little bit from that, but he's still over a point per game in his most recent 5 and 10 game samples. He is still going out there with multi-point games continuously, and piled on with Nick Suzuki doing as well as he's been doing, piled on with Juraj Slafkovsky slowly starting to get back up to form. It is just total best case scenario territory for this Montreal Canadiens team to do what they're doing. So I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, how the Montreal Canadiens have turned things around. What the hell happened for the Canadiens from the start of this season up until today? We're at the halfway mark of the year pretty much, and the Habs have definitely taken things into their own hands. Let me know in the comments, how do you feel about the Canadiens and their prosperity. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on, and bye.